Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Sarah Lilly Makes. My name is Sarah and this is my journaling space here on YouTube where I like to talk about, document, and share all the things I've been making. Today's episode is going to be about my summer knitting plans and what I would hopefully like to get to this summer. A lot of it I most likely will not get through all of these because, like always, I overestimate how much I can actually get done, and I have a lot of plans that I would really love to get to, but I know realistically that's not possible. So this is a little late. I am recording in June, end of June really, and normally I would have put this video out at the beginning of June. But yeah, life has been kind of chaotic, which is not unusual, honestly. But I just kind of took a break from recording and uploading, and I am back for a bit, so I'm glad to be here and to be sharing my summer knitting plans with you. I'm not going to talk about my spring knitting plans, my spring progress today. I think I'll save that for a wrap up another video. But I did bring 2 projects from spring into this plan, so if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean so much to me and will really help my channel grow. And if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. I thought about doing this in order of designer, and I like to keep things organized a little bit, not just kind of just jumping all over the place, but there are different ways you could organize a plans video. So I hope going by designer is okay. I have one particular designer that stands out a lot more than the rest, which if you've been around for a while, you would know who I'm talking about or what company I'm talking about. But yeah, so we have a lot of Sandnes Garn summer plans, and then I have some Petiteknit. I have a couple of other designers that are new to me, and yeah, and I have a couple test knits as well in here. So I think I have 15 things that I want to knit for the next 2 months, because like I said, we're at the end of June, starting July, and technically where I live in Northern California, summer doesn't really end until like late September, early October. Like right now, June, end of June. What is the date today? Today is June 27th. It is 60 degrees outside, Fahrenheit, which is around 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. So I'm wearing a sweater. I'm wearing my balloon sweater, by the way, from Petiteknit. My window's open because it's so gorgeous, and just cleaning the air out of my house. And it's just really nice. I love Northern California weather. It's like there's no clouds in the sky, and it's super breezy and 60 degrees outside right now. So that's nice. That's my kind of weather. Okay, let's actually start with the plans and enough of the rambling. All right, I think I will do Sandnes Garn last because it is the one that I had the most of, and yeah, although I do have it first on my list here. I have a notebook with all my list and yarns, etc. All right, I'll start with the Petiteknit patterns that I really want to get through to this year. So this pattern's been out for a while. It's the Ivy Blouse from Petiteknit, and I will include pictures here or here of the pattern as I talk about it. I saw someone had done an Ivy Blouse on another podcast. I can't remember the name of the podcast. If I remember, I'll include it here. But it was a pink Ivy Blouse knitted with mohair. So I had considered kind of that person's version as an inspiration to make my own, but then I decided I really wanted to knit that with more color. I have had this Hedgehog fibers silk merino lace in my yarn collection for years. This is Potluck 1805. I don't know how they managed to keep up with the numbers, but this is Potluck 1805, and I've had this for at least 4 years in my yarn collection, and it's been sitting there, and I I think I got this in like a surprise potluck thing. They've sold yarn like different ways where you get different potluck colorways of different blends and stuff. And I think I got this in one of those that I had purchased, and I just couldn't find the perfect product fit because this is gorgeous. This is just me. This is like all my favorite colors, like the pinks, the light pinks, the turquoise, the speckles of purple, and the black speckles. It's just me. And I loved it so much, but I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to make with this. So I thought the Ivy blouse would be a really nice option for me to use this up because it is a lace weight yarn. It is silk merino lace, like I said. The content is 50% silk, 50% merino wool, and you get 700 meters per 100 grams. So I don't think I'm going to need more than this for that. And it'll be lightweight, it'll be drapey. I'm hopeful. I think I'm going to follow the pattern, how she has the pattern written. And let me share a little bit about a pattern first before I actually forget. Okay, the Ivy blouse is knitted with 2 strands of lace weight yarn held together, and it is knitted on 3.5 millimeter needles. It is knitted top down in one piece. The yoke is constructed with shoulder increases, and then the next section increases are worked from the sleeves only, and then you end with some classic raglan increases on the body and the sleeves. You do use short rows to shape the neckline, and then the sleeves are worked around. Pretty basic top down, a mix of different types of increases being done. So I really love the Ivy collection from Petiteknit. I think I have all 3 of her patterns available: the blouse, the tee, and the top, which is the sleeveless version. And I really want a long sleeve blouse, lightweight blouse in my closet, and I really want to use this yarn because I've really missed knitting with hand-dyed yarn. I've missed knitting with Hedgehog fibers. I started remedying that these past couple of weeks, and I'll share that in my next episode. But I really enjoy Hedgehog fibers yarn. I've kind of moved away a bit from Superwash, but I still I want to use up what I have also in my yarn collection and not just have it sitting there. So I do want to use this, and my plan is an Ivy blouse, and we'll see how that goes. I have to wind it up, and I'm not planning on casting this on anytime soon because even though we are still having some cooler days, I will not get this done quickly. It's a long sleeve 3.5 millimeter tee, and I have another one that I want to do that I'll get to in a second. The next Petiteknit pattern is another fine gauge, and I want to knit the Petra Polo, and this is also going to be a long term later in the summer project because it's a long sleeve tee. It's a finer gauge, and I feel like it would be great to have going into fall. Both of these, the Ivy blouse and then the Petra Polo. I am planning on using the recommended yarn, which is a Sandnes Garn Cashmere, and I got this pink yarn for Mother's Day, and I am in love with this. Like, this is my color. I'm just enjoying all the softer, less in your face color this year. I feel like I did that I knitted with a lot of super bright, super pigmented colors last year, and this year I'm going for more of a softer tone. But yeah, this is the plan. I want to knit the Petra Polo with this yarn, and I am so excited about knitting with this yarn. I have knitted another project before twice. Actually, I've knitted 2 scarves with their cashmere yarn, and I really love it. It is a delight to knit with, and it just feels really luxurious in hand. All right, let me get the Petra details. Okay, the Petra Polo is knitted on 2 and 3 millimeter needles. So like I said, another long-term project that will be later in the year, later in the summer, so more toward fall. And it is worked top down. You work the back with increases, then the shoulders are worked with stitches that are picked up and knitted along the back yoke. Stitches are then picked up and knitted along the sides of the shoulders so that all of the stitches are now sitting on a circular needle together and can be worked back and forth with increases for the sleeves and then raglan increases. Then you work the front pockets in double knitting from the stitches that I picked up and knitted before the bodies were worked around. So I did see that this was a unique, not necessarily unique to Petiteknit's patterns, but I generally like going back to the color than like finishing it at the same time. But I think in this instance, I appreciate that because I feel like with it being such a small gauge, fine yarn, it will feel a bit more completed in a sense that you have a better sense of satisfaction, and then you can like be like, okay, that hard part is done, and then I can continue working on the easy part. So I appreciate that actually, when normally I wouldn't have. And then you do the sleeves, and then at the end the collar is worked and tightly knit rib. I did see that you also do some double knitting before you start the rib, and I think I like the look of how that, I had the pattern already, so I had looked at it, and I like how that is also done. Okay, so that's a Petra Polo, and that is my second plan. So both of these plans are not written in stone by any means. They are, I really would love to get to them if I can, and they're both, you know, longer term projects, but I'm excited about them and I hope I can really get to them. So then the third Petiteknit pattern that I have is one that came with me from my spring knitting plans, and it is the market bag, because this has not, I haven't, no. I've not done, I probably did like 2 rows since I actually made that video, and it's really easy to pick it back up and just continue. But what I ended up doing was I thought I was on a yarn over row when I wasn't. So I was doing yarn overs into a row that needed to be a stockinette row. So I had to think back to the end and then fix that, and it was fine. And I think that's why I put it back down, because I was like, I'm already frustrated with this project, and yeah. But I really do want to finish this. I really love having, like, you know, handmade bags and such. I don't know, we'll see if this actually ends up getting finished this summer or not. If not, then it will join us in 2027 again. So that is my French market bag from Petiteknit, which has been in a work in progress for a few years now. Yeah. All right. The next thing that I want to talk about is a test knit that I am doing for CocoAmour Knitwear. And you know what? I actually meant to share this at the beginning and I didn't get around to it, but I'm really excited about this little pile. I have most of the yarns that I'm using, most if not all, I think most, but it's in this little basket here and I just love it. This is my color palette for summer 2026, and there are 2 bright colors in there, but we can get to those later. Okay, so the next thing that I'm working on is a test, like I said, for Cheryl of CocoAmour Knit, and this is the Clovelly, I'm not sure how to pronounce this actually, it's Clovelly Tee, and I was selected to test knit this, and I was so excited because I love stripes. I mean, who doesn't love stripes? I feel like everybody loves stripes. And I am just loving this color combination. I feel like it's looking off on camera, which is fine. I will insert a picture if I can. But I am using Lavender and Lemonade Sunday held double from Sandnes Garn. So I'm using one of the recommended yarns for the pattern. It's a t-shirt. I am not opposed to wool in the summer. I repeatedly say this. I am perfectly content with wool as a summer fabric. So it's a top-down European shoulder / contiguous shoulder construction, and this was a lot of fun to knit on. I started this less than a week ago, and I am mostly done with the body. It is knitted on 4mm nil, so it goes by fairly quickly, and the stripes are very satisfying to work on. I really love how my stripes are coming along on the side. You can probably see, I did make a mistake around here. Yep, I could see it, where there's a bit of a hole there, and that's my fault. Normally when I do stripes, I'll share on the inside without hopefully tangling it up too much. I twist the yarn and I carry it down, but at this particular point right here, I didn't. I just somehow forgot, and it didn't get twisted appropriately like the rest, and it left a tiny gap there, but it's okay. I wasn't too bothered by it to go back and fix it, and normally I'm not bothered by things to go back and fix it that much. I see a few points where I knitted with a single strand instead of holding the yarn, accidentally like not holding the yarn together, like right here. And I sometimes do that when I am knitting with 2 strands of yarn, but honestly, again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really bother me that much, and I am fine with how this is looking. So I said this is Lavender and Lemonade in Sunday held double. I finished I finished the contrast stripes, the purple. I finished this one, and then I cut the yarn, and now I'm going to do one more row of knitting on the 4mm, and then I'm going to switch to my 3. The pattern calls for 3.5, but I think I'm going to do the ribbing on 3. This is my personal preference. And I will do 1 row of knitting on the 3 and then switch to the ribbing. I like how that looks. I find it looks a lot neater than just going straight into the ribbing. Once you switch the needle, you just start straight with the ribbing. I think it just looks, it flows a little neater to me. And that's how I normally do my ribbing anyway. I always switch. I do 1 final row of knitting with the smaller needle and then start the ribbing. So I just have the neck, I have the ribbing, 2 more rows of knitting, and then the ribbing on the body. And yeah, I'm really excited to have this almost done. I feel like I can finish this in about a week or so, and I am going to prioritize this next because it is a test. I actually have 2 tests, I said. So I'm going to prioritize this and the second thing that I'll talk about right now. The next test that I have is the Rivoli Top by Minimi Knit Designs. And she shared this test call a few weeks ago. And then I thought I wasn't selected. I was like, okay, whatever. That's not a big deal. I have other things I would like to knit anyway. But then I got an email with a pattern update. And I was like, wait a minute, a pattern update? I did not get this pattern. What the heck? So then I searched through my email and it was like in my spam or something. And I immediately contacted her and I said, I don't have access to the pattern. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I missed it. And she very kindly sent me the pattern like a week later. But I am so enjoying this. Like this is what I feel like I've been missing. So I'm doing a lot of like stockinette and just simple stockinette projects. But I feel like I've been missing a lot of texture and the like in my knitting. So this is, like I said, the Rivoli Top. It is a versatile V-neck summer tank with simple yet distinctive textured pattern. The airy mohair blend and relaxed gauge create a lightweight fabric that pairs effortlessly with everything from linen trousers to summer skirts. It's worked top down, combines clean lines with subtle texture for a modern, understated look. It is an all-over ribbed, technically ribbed, 2x2, but the knit rib is done in a rickrack crisscross stitch. So let us see. There was some yarn that was partially sponsored, but I didn't end up getting it. And what I'm using is what I had already in my yarn collection. And I am knitting this project with some Sysleriget merino silk in the color Wild Poppy. And then I am holding it with some leftover alpaca Folgetrad from Sandnes Garn that I've used in my Cornelia cardigan, I'm pretty sure, last year. So I have less than 40 grams of this left, and I am knitting the size small because I wanted a little less positive ease. I wanted a more neutral, just a tiny bit of positive ease, and I wanted it to be a little bit more slim fitting for me for summer with this project. So I went for the size small. I normally knit size medium large, and it is knitted on 4mm needles, so I feel like I'm totally fine getting this finished in time. I believe the end deadline is like middle to end of July. Let me share what I have actually. So I have started knitting with this merino, silk merino, and alpaca Folgetrad. So it is knitted top down with a rickrack crisscross. Is that what it's called? A rickrack rib. Like around here, and then pearls. So It's not a complicated stitch pattern by any means. I don't think it's complicated at all. I just looked at her videos, picked it up really quickly, and then the pattern is really simple to follow. I made a mistake. I had to start over a few times because somehow I kept accidentally dropping 1 or 2 stitches in a couple of the rickracs. Not sure how, and then that becomes a problem later on. I'll talk about that in a second. It's work top down, like I said. I don't generally like top down knitting for tanks and such. I like knitting from the bottom up because then you have like 4 separate things going, and then you have to join them, and then it's a lot of wrangling pieces and stuff. So that's why I don't like it. But I'm actually okay with how this is turning out. I'm liking how it's turning out. The problem I was talking about in dropping the rickrack stitches. So when I did that a few times, I was really like at the start when I had dropped a couple of the stitches. So I just frogged it and restarted. So this happened like 2 or 3 times. The problem with that now is that it happened to me recently and I don't know how to resolve it. I don't know how to actually fix it by laddering up. So there's a part where I dropped it here. You might not be able to see, but you also might be able to see. And it is just, I have like just plain stockinette right there. When it's supposed to be the entire thing, it's supposed to be the rickrack rib. So I just laddered up and I just did the ribbing because I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't know how to do the pattern fixing it. I'm not sure if she actually has a video on how to fix it. I haven't checked. But I will check first and then ask her if there's any way for her to make a video on how to fix it, because she has videos for everything. I'm really enjoying this test knit. I am pleasantly surprised with how much I'm enjoying this. I started this last night and I finished it this morning, the first panel before. Then I do the left and then I do the back right, then I do the back left, and then I join it all together. For the test, you only have to join in the entire thing in the round and finish the top. But I am planning on finishing this entire thing because I really love this. I'm loving so much the texture. It is so textured. It is so beautiful. I cannot even I know it's a little hard to see the color accurately it's looking more orange than red, but it's really, really pretty. It's like the silk is softening the alpaca a bit color wise. But yeah, I'm really loving this. I'm very excited to continue working on this. I think I will pick this back up in the day, and then the CocoAmour test will be my nighttime knitting, TV knitting, because that's a bit less concentration and this is a bit more concentration. So that is my Rivoli Tee from Minimi Knit Designs, and I am going to be knitting more patterns from her because her patterns are so well thought out. I really am enjoying my first test knit with this designer. Okay, that's the Rivoli Test. I'm using Sysleriget and Sandnes Garn, like I said. And then the next thing that I want to knit is another new to me designer. She's actually not a new to me designer. I have a few of her patterns. I just haven't knitted them yet. This is the Pinstripe Top Tank by Ohwhataknit. And I really love her designs. There's a t-shirt that she has that I've been eyeing for a really long time. She's had it out for a few years now. And I don't know why I haven't knitted it, because I love some plain stockinette tees on figuring it for the summer. But anyway, this was just released, the Pinstripe Top. I will insert a picture because I thought I had it printed, but I don't. So I am knitting this with this gorgeous, almost poppy blue from Explore Knits and Fibers in the Linen Sock blend, and the color name is Blue Spirulina. And I love this piece so much. This is my first time using their Linen Sock blend, and they've had it out for a few years now, I believe, and I haven't actually used it yet, but I'm excited to try it and see how it knits up. It feels a little hard, not really soft, like say the cashmere feels soft. It doesn't feel like a table hard, but just it feels a little crunchier to me. But I'm assuming that's the linen, and once it's washed and worn a bit, then it'll be, it'll soften up quite a bit. And it is non-superwash, 80% non-superwash merino and 20% linen. So I'm really excited to use this yarn. I have another colorway, but I probably won't get to use that this year. But it's fine. I really want to knit with this and see how this knits up. So let's see the pattern. The pattern is the Pinstripe tank. This is also going to be an undertaking because it is 2.75 millimeter needles, not 3. I don't think I've actually knitted a garment with less than 3 millimeter needles. I mean, I'm not counting like ribbing or like the edges or stuff like that. But like an all over garment, I have not knitted with something with less than 3 millimeter needles. So this is going to be an adventure for me. This is the Pinstripe tank top, and it has a clean minimalistic look with a ribbed pattern running vertically. It's knitted with light fingering yarn, creating a lightweight and breathable knit with a close but relaxed fit that drapes naturally. The rounded neckline and fairly wide shoulder strap are creating a modern, slightly sporty silhouette. It is knitted top down, starting at the back, followed by working the shoulders separately first until they are joined to work the front. Under the arms, the front and the back parts are joined to work in the round. The neckline and armhole trimmings are worked in stockinette, folded and sewn down later. The hem is neatly finished with a pleat and slits just below the waistline, making it easy to tuck in or wear loose. I am excited to knit this. I feel like in my knitting journey, my summer knitting journey, I haven't really knitted a whole lot of tank tops or sleeveless tops. I think I have like 3 that I've knitted over the course of the past like 6 years that I've been knitting for summer. And to me, that's kind of mind-boggling. I don't generally wear a lot of sleeveless tops, but I do like having the option to. So that's kind of where I am. And I do want to get this done. I feel like this is not written in stone, but it's up there as one of those that I definitely want to knit this year. So that's a Pinstripe tank from Ohwhataknit in Explore Knits and Fibers Linen Sock. Okay, so think I'm done with one. Nope, I have one more non-Sandnes pattern. And it's another fingering weight project. So I do not think I'm going to get all of these things done. I know, without a doubt, all of this is not getting done. But that's okay, you know, that's the fun. It's planning and, you know, seeing what you can do and just being hopeful about what you would like to do. All right, let me grab this pattern. It's at the bottom of my knitting patterns. Okay, this is the Manon Tee from Lilly. I feel like it's become a tradition for me to knit a Lilly summer knit every year. I feel like I've done that at least 2 patterns of hers in the past couple of years since I've been summer knitting, and I need this garment. So the options for this are knitting fall of pure silk or Sandnes Garn Sunday, and I'm going to go with the Sandnes Garn Sunday because I have it and I love it. I have some pure silk too, but pure silk is not my favorite. The knitting fall of pure silk is not my favorite summer fiber to use, and I don't want to talk about it now, but that'll be a story for another day. Anyway, I am going to make a strawberry matcha Manon Tee, and I've already called it that. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah. I know this is a lot more pink than strawberry, but that's okay. I am still settling with that name. That's the name for my strawberry matcha Manon Tee. I love these. I love these together. I am like obsessed with this one and the lemonade yellow. I feel like those are the colors that's just speaking to me. All right, a little bit about this tee. The Manon Tee features maritime stripes and a boat neckline that is worked from the top down, has short sleeves that are shaped at the same time as the yoke. This means the entire tee is knitted in one piece, shaped with increases and finished without sewing. It is a fingering weight tee, I said. It is knitted with 2.5 and 3 millimeter needles. The top of the back is knitted with slanted shoulders, then stitches are picked up for the front along the shoulder stitches off the back. Each side of the front is knitted separately, then the slanted shoulders are shaped with short rows, then you knit the beginning of the neckline curve. Stitches are now picked up for the top of the sleeve, and the front, back, and sleeves are worked at the same time until the end of the armhole. From there, the body and the sleeves are knitted separately. Finally, stitches are picked up for the neckline. A pretty popular construction for t-shirts and sweaters, the European shoulder construction, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. That's kind of what my Clovelly Tee is currently, and I was actually contemplating between knitting this pattern or knitting a second Clovelly Tee with the strawberry matcha colors, but I was like, I really love it and I don't want to follow up with the exact same pattern, but I also really like a single strand of Sunday for summer tees. I have a few in my closet that's a single strand of Sunday for a summer tee and I love it. It's like some of my favorite summer knits. So that is the Manon Tee, and I don't know what number plan that is, but it's a possibility. Not necessarily going to get done, but it's up there. I do have one more non-Sandnes Garn pattern, but it is an accessory, and I want to knit the Fading Stripes shawl from Hedgehog Fibers. I talked about Hedgehog Fibers earlier. I said I've been using quite a bit of their yarn recently, and I've been going through their pattern library and just picking patterns off to knit. I've knitted 2 of their shawls. I'll talk about it in my next episode. And I'm just having, nope, I knitted 1 of their shawl. This will be the second one. I'm having so much fun. I love Hedgehog Fibers patterns. I've knitted quite a few of their sweater patterns before, and they're free. They're on her website. You just have to go to hedgehogfibers.com. Under the patterns, they're all free patterns. So I have quite a bit of potluck colorways from them that I've purchased or been gifted over the years, and I really want to use these 2 potluck colors. It's shown up very, very light, and they are light, but not as light as they seem on camera. But one is a soft pink, and then the other is a soft blue with speckles. So it's a fading shawl, fading stripes, and the original pattern is meant to use up like a 10 fade mini skein set. But the option to use 2 skeins of sock yarn is also available. So that's my plan. I will insert a picture here. It's a beautiful, it seems like a very simple, very straightforward shawl pattern. And I'm kind of getting into my shawl, like shawl era. Not really era, but I've been knitting a few scarves and shawls this year. And that was one of my goals at the beginning of the year, to knit an accessory a month. Anyway, that is my final accessory for my summer, the market bag and the fading stripes. And now I will talk about all the Sandnes Garn patterns that I would love to knit this summer. This is going to be a really long episode. I apologize. I'll try my best to cut out as much unnecessary as possible. All right, the first thing that I want to knit is the Adeline Singlet. And I talked about this already when I shared my some yarns I had just recently gotten. The Adeline Singlet is this gorgeous tank top. I cannot get over this. I honestly am not sure that I will actually get to knitting this because another finger made project. So the recommended yarn is Tinlina, and I was planning on using alpaca silk. So you have the option to use alpaca silk as well. So I've had this yarn in my yarn collection for a bit, and I have not used it. I actually purchased this yarn to knit the Clementine top last summer, and I just didn't end up liking how that looked overall. The pattern itself, it just looked a little too loose in the front, and so I'm going to be using this alpaca silk yarn if I get to knit this. And the colorway is 7221. Let me talk a little bit about the pattern because it seems a little bit complex to me. It is worked from the hem up, which I like for summer knits, for summer tanks. You begin to work back and forth according to diagram. There are eyelets, and you work eyelets for cord. Divide stitches for on the needle for the back and front, and decrease for armholes and neckline. With knit stitches, sew together the straps on the shoulder. You work the front band in double knit and work I-cord to pass through eyelets at the waist. It seems simple enough that I feel comfortable attempting this, but we shall see. It is gorgeous. It is a beautiful, it's a beautiful design. That's the first thing that I want to knit. That's with alpaca silk, and that's the Adeline Singlet. And the next thing I've already started, and it is the Lyra Sweater. I barely have anything done on this though. This is another boat neck style top that I fell in love with when I saw this collection released, and I'm knitting it with the color that they used on the sample. If I could find the yarn that is being held hostage. Okay, so this is a top-down raglan, semi-boat neck sleeve, raglan construction, long sleeve t-shirt. It is knitted with Lina on 3.5 millimeter needles, and in the past 3 years I've done a 3.5 millimeter long sleeve t-shirt from Sandnes Garn. This is the third one, I think. So the first one was the Millie sweater, then the second one was the Cleo sweater, now this is the Lyra sweater. So I'm really excited about this. I feel like this has also become kind of a tradition for me to knit a long sleeve tee in Lina from Sandnes Garn, and I just love it. I love this color. It's like a really soft mint, and I feel like it complements me really well, and I'm excited for this. I am definitely going to get this done. This is a definite yes plan. The Lyra sweater from Sandnes Garn, knitted with Lina on 3.5 millimeter needles. The next thing that I have, okay, so I did end up getting a lot of the patterns from this collection. I think I mentioned this prior, and I will include below where I get my Sandnes Garn patterns. The next thing that I want to do is the Elodie Tee, which is an Oliver Pointel t-shirt pattern that I'm going to make. I'm going to make it. I'm going to use Sandnes Garn Lina in the color lavender. I believe this is the same lavender that is on my Clovelly Tee, and super happy about that. I want to knit that for sure. That's a definite plan. The next thing that I want to do is the Elva Tee, which is another Sandnes Garn pattern. This is, before I go on, the Elodie Tee rather is a little bit about the construction. This is knitted with 3.5 millimeter needles. It is knitted top down. You do turning rows to shape the deeper front neckline. You work the pattern according to the diagram and increase stitches between the pattern borders to shape a round yoke. You divide the stitches on the needles. For sleeves, back and forth, work each part in rounds separately with pattern according to diagram and end ribbing. Pretty basic construction. That's an all over lace tee, which that is something I love doing every summer as well. Okay, so back to the next pattern. The Elva Tee is pattern Sandnes Garn. This is an all over vertical stripe pattern. It reminds me of the pinstripe tank, but I love it as a t-shirt. And this is knitted with 3.5 millimeter needles as well. All of these are 3.5. I'm pretty sure. So, well, the Lyra, the Elodie, and the Elva 3.5. And one more that I haven't gotten to yet. Okay, so the garment. You work the t-shirt from the top down with rib pattern. Start to work neckband, continue with turning rows to shape deeper neckline. At the same time, increase for raglan. When the increases for raglan is finished, you work the sleeves back and forth separately. Pretty basic, pretty simple, just a rib t-shirt. Short sleeve t-shirt on 3.5 millimeter needles with Lina yarn. And I'm going to use the color that's on the sample, which is this pink lilac yarn. And it is gorgeous. I am in my pink phase, like I said. Pink, all the pinks. So that is the Elva Tee. And then I have one more plan that's already started. So I am going to be knitting, or I've already started. This was a spring plan that I brought over into summer. I talked about wanting to knit the Aria Sweater, which is a Sandnes Garn pattern. I will include a picture here. And I ended up changing my mind on what I wanted to do with that pattern. So I saw this design at the mall in store a while ago while I was window shopping, and I was like, I could make that. And so I said, okay, I'll make that. So this is the Aria Tee pattern from Sandnes Garn. I have done quite a bit of it already, but it has been sitting for at least 3 weeks because I've been working on other things and trying to finish up other spring plans. And I said, since this is going to go to summer, I don't mind putting it on hold and finishing up my spring, some of my spring things, and then just getting back to this. So this is a European shoulder construction. You do the shaping at the back. It's hard to see because it's all white and it's light. On both shoulders, and you pick up, it's a similar construction as the Clovelly, the Manon. A lot of garments have this type of construction. The Poppy Tee, just a lot of different patterns now use this construction in their, a lot of pattern designers use this construction in their patterns, and for good reason. It's a beautiful design. It fits really well. I love the silhouette of this. I love how it sits on me, and it suits so many different body types. So I modified this to make it short sleeves, lace, and 2x2 rib. The Aria sweater is double knitting at the neck and the collar, but it does have ribbing on the sleeves. I'm pretty sure it does have ribbing. I can't remember the original pattern. Yes, there is ribbing on the sleeves and the cuffs of the sleeve cuffs and the body. That's not going to show. So I will share a picture of the pattern. So I modified to pick up 2x2 rib at the neck here. I picked it up. So it took me a minute to figure out how to do this neckband because it's done in double knit and you pick up at the very bottom and then you work up. But I couldn't do that with 2x2 rib and not how the original inspiration shirt looked, which, you know, it really didn't have to be exactly like it, but I'm kind of trying to be a stickler anyway. So I did end up picking up stitches along each side of the front where there was a gap of like 8 stitches, I believe. Once I picked up and I did the 2x2 rib, I did a buttonhole on this side. I don't like how I did the buttonholes, but I'm not going to go back and fix it. I'm fine. It's okay. And then I put the 2 layers together as so. I put the 2 layers together on the inside and then I turned it inside out and then I just made like a sandwich and I seamed it all down. So this thread is still here from where I seamed it down. So I could easily go back and take it out if I need to, but I am content with how it looks. The button band is what's kind of bugging me a bit, but again, not the button band, the buttonholes. But again, at the end of the day, it's going to be hidden, really, with buttons, because or not, I mean, at least 2 of them will be hidden. The bottom 2 will be hidden here and here with buttons, and this one could be open. And this one's not bad, so. Okay, so that is my Aria. I have the stitches on hold here. I think what I will do next is, once I finish my tests, I will pick this back up, because I feel like this is the next that is closest to being done, and it's the last plan that I have. So this is going to be almost an hour long. I apologize. I went, and let's see how many projects I said I wanted to do. 13. That's not bad. 2 of them are accessories, but a lot of them are finer gauge. 2 long sleeve, 3 long sleeve. Anyway, that is my summer knitting plans. I am giving myself until the end of September to work on these because, like I said, summer kind of drags on into fall here, which I don't mind. I do not mind. I am happy with that. We still kind of have spring weather here right now, but okay, that's it. That's my hour-long plans. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found some inspiration in my episode today. Please let me know what you are planning on working on this summer. I'd love to hear your summer plans if you are so inclined to share. Thank you for watching again. Please like and subscribe. Happy knitting. Bye.